So Terrence Howard just went there. And when I say went there, I mean he basically pulled back the curtain on what's been Hollywood's worst kept secret for years. The man who gave us Iron Man's best friend just dropped some serious truth bombs about Diddy's infamous parties. And let's be real, we've all heard the whispers, the rumors, the allegedly this and reportedly that. But Terrence, he's not playing the diplomatic game anymore.
It was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
According to Howard, these parties, people showed up chasing that quick hit of fame, that instant gratification of being in the room with the biggest names. They danced, they got clapped, they lived in the moment, but few actually stopped to think about what they were trading for that access. So who are these names Terrence decided to confess just recently? And wait until you hear the last name he said. Now, before sharing these celebs' names, Terrence decided to share his own personal story. And this is where Howard's story gets personal. And honestly, it's the kind of story that makes you go, wait, what? Diddy approached Terrence about being his acting coach. Sounds normal, right? Nothing weird about that.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and he said no to it?
Hell yeah. Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach. And you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction.
But here's the thing. Once they started spending time together, Diddy wasn't interested in acting at all. Instead of discussing scripts or technique, he just wanted to hang out, vibe to Terrence's music, and basically spend time together. Just the two of them. If you know, you know. That's when Terrence's assistant stepped in with some real talk. The assistant basically said, hey, maybe this isn't about acting lessons. And honestly, that assistant deserves a raise for having the courage to speak up. But Terrence naming names doesn't stop there, because apparently other people in the industry weren't as quick to trust their instincts, and one rising star found herself pulled deeper into Diddy's orbit than she probably expected. Yes, Young Miami's story is complicated, and it shows how quickly someone can get caught up in a world they're not prepared for. She's young, she's talented, and suddenly she's being seen everywhere with one of the most powerful men in music. Their appearances together looked like a power move. Coordinated outfits, confident red carpet moments, the whole package. Look at the 2023 Met Gala moment. It was peak visibility for their connection. For Young Miami, it probably felt like she'd made it to the top of the industry pyramid. But here's the thing about standing next to powerful people. You're not just getting their spotlight, you're also getting their shadows. Young Miami probably thought she was playing chess, but she might have played instead, because allegedly Young Miami is also caught in some of the Diddy tapes. Now Young Miami was always treated like a side chick by Diddy, and it just came out she was the one who was taking care of the supplies of pink addictive substance for the Diddy parties. And speaking of other people who definitely knew the game but made some questionable choices about speaking up, this one gets heavy, so let's talk about it straight. Gene Deal, who was close to the situation, tells a story about Stevie J that's honestly hard to process. According to Deal, Stevie J and Mace got a warning from gang members that both Diddy and Biggie were being targeted. This wasn't some vague threat. This was specific, credible information about real danger.
Stevie J and Mace went to a basketball game together. Those Crips pulled them to the side and told both of them, it's Puff we want and it's Big we want. Stevie J should have been talking about he didn't tell Big nothing. I even told Big before we left. If we go to this party, somebody gonna die tonight. If that ain't drugs that kid is taking that got him talking like that, man, the Pope ain't Catholic and the pig ain't poor.
Here's the part that hits differently. Biggie never got that warning directly. Think about that for a second. Someone knew there was a threat against one of hip-hop's biggest stars, and that information never made it to the person who needed it most. Howard's point is this: in the hip-hop world, loyalty and reputation mean everything. But sometimes that same loyalty can make people choose silence over safety. But here's where it gets even more confusing, because later, that same Stevie J would be out here glorifying the exact behavior he once warned against.
Called freak-offs. Very interesting term.
I've never witnessed that type of behavior. I don't know what a man do in his bedroom or nothing like that. They was rocking together. From what I know. All I know is they both was rock stars, living their best life in a relationship.
Stevie J calling Diddy and Cassie rock stars for their private activities, the same person who allegedly knew about serious threats. But if you think loyalty gets complicated with Stevie J, wait until you hear about Mace's promises. Mace's situation shows how gratitude can become a trap. The man straight up said he'd visit Diddy in prison if it came to that, not if he's innocent or if the charges are false. Just a blanket promise of support no matter what happens legally.
My name was on the list, I'd go visit Puff, you know? They throw my name on the list. I think right now would be a perfect time. Me and him to have a conversation.
That's interesting. You would go see Puff?
I would visit him, make sure he was good.
Why didn't you do it when he was out? Why you didn't make sure he was good? Why you make sure he was good when he wasn't in there? Why you waiting until he get in there to make sure he good?
These are the times when you need people to check up and make sure you're good, you know? And not that I condone anything that they're alleging them to have done. It's just until they prove it, you know, you kind of want to make sure that you don't be like one of those people that somebody did good for you. He didn't do all bad. He did some good. I'm talking about just the musical side, giving me an opportunity. As a person of class, you definitely got to show up and sit somewhere in the court if they let you.
You think he innocent?
I don't know.
Look, loyalty is admirable. Mace credits Diddy with launching his career, giving him opportunities he might never have had otherwise. That kind of gratitude runs deep, and it's actually beautiful when it's earned and deserved. But there's a difference between being grateful to someone who helped you and being blind to evidence that might contradict your loyalty. Now, I'm not sure about why he is so loyal, but looking at this music video actually explains why he's so addicted to Diddy. Anyway, Howard's highlighting how supporting and sleeping with these predators can trap you. Mace is basically saying, I don't care what he's accused of, I'm riding with him. That's not loyalty, that's something else entirely. Speaking of narratives and influence, the phone records that came out about Kalena Harper tell a whole different story about how pressure gets applied. Now, the Kalena Harper situation is probably the most legally significant part of this whole story. Harper was identified as a key witness in Don Richards' lawsuit against Diddy. Her testimony could have serious weight because she was both a bandmate and someone who knew the accused personally. That makes her observations crucial for building any legal case.
New revelations show that after Don Richard filed her lawsuit against Diddy, he allegedly bombarded his former bandmate Kalena Harper with over 50 calls in one day and reached out a total of 128 times over 4 days. Prosecutors say that these calls were attempts to sway her testimony, part of a broader pattern of trying to gaslight and manipulate witnesses. Can you blame Kalena for distancing herself from the situation? She came under fire for posting that Richard's claims did not align with her experience, and some people criticized her for what it seemed like defending Diddy. Given the pressure, it is understandable that she would want to clarify her stance, especially with Diddy reportedly trying to reach out so persistently. Apologize to this woman, she's a victim too.
Let's do the math on that. That's roughly 32 calls per day. If you're awake 16 hours a day, that's 2 calls every hour, all day long, for 4 straight days. That's not checking in on a friend. But if you think that level of pressure is intense, wait until you hear about allegations that go back over 30 years. This is where the timeline gets really disturbing because we're talking about allegations that date back to 1991. Gene Deal claims that both Diddy and Aaron Hall were involved in assaulting a young victim over 3 decades ago. These aren't recent allegations. They're claims about behavior that allegedly happened when some of today's biggest stars were just getting started celebrated in the industry.
One of the victims, she alleges that, Diddy and Aaron Hall back in 1991 took turns whipping her. What you think about that?
Well, I think because the New York state law has made rape just like murder, there's no statute of limitation. A lot of people going to be coming out the woodwork charging these guys who did things like she said that they did way back when. Now, Cassie has already proved that Puff is capable of doing what this girl said.
There's also additional testimony from Gloria Velez, claiming Aaron Hall had a relationship with her when she was only 16. The next name is Drake. Yes, Drake's connection to this story is different. He's not accused of wrongdoing, but his comments about modeling his work ethic after Diddy's approach add another layer to this whole narrative.
I studied the stories that Spoon used to tell me from Howard days and just how relentless you were, you know what I'm saying? And now all my brothers behind me, we're trying to do the same thing, following your footsteps. Every night we're out here pounding the pavement, doing what we can do.
Drake has publicly credited someone nicknamed Spoon from Diddy's early team for teaching him about relentless ambition and work-first mentality. He frames this as positive influence. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with admiring someone's work ethic or business acumen, but Howard's raising a deeper question about role modeling. He is basically raising the question, if you want to learn something, why don't you learn it from people like Denzel Washington? Drake probably isn't thinking about allegations or legal issues when he talks about learning from Diddy's grind. Speaking of environments that shape behavior, now the stories about Diddy's childhood home paint a picture of where some of these patterns might have started. Tim Dog Patterson shared some memories about parties at what he calls Janice Harper's house, gatherings that apparently set the tone for everything that came later.
Remember when I said Diddy mother might be the originator of the freak-offs? All right, so tomorrow Peacock is dropping. According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having sex. That was just their normal. And the doc, when talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, "That's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed. Was it desensitizing us?"
According to Patterson, these early gatherings were environments where boundaries weren't just blurred, and some of the fans are also blaming Diddy mom for his alleged bad upbringing, because there's now a video gone viral where we can see Diddy kissing her mom.
What's up, Mom?
Well, everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I like you.
Love you too.
Cindy is too. I know.
Anyway, let's talk about Beyonce, because Beyonce's connection to this story shows how even the biggest stars can find their reputations affected by association. Now, it's clear as day that she attended several of Diddy's private events, and her presence wasn't just social, it was strategic. Her presence validated the importance of these gatherings. Those are serious allegations that go way beyond party attendance.
What's going on? Losing hundreds of thousands, millions of followers every day. And she still hasn't said anything. Just pretending like life is great in Paris.
Is it her place to say so?
Probably not, considering she's gonna be indicted for anything she would say. These are criminals. Diddy is a drug dealer, and so is Jay-Z. The proof is there.
According to Wright, any decline in Beyonce's social media numbers reflects fans questioning not just the music, but the entire circle she moves within. So, what do you think? Why Beyonce was at these parties, and do you think it's good for Mase to protect Diddy, even after he clapped him? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because honestly, this thing is just getting started.